Welcome to Street Teeth, Episode 3. My guest today is a photographer whose work I've looked up to ever since I picked up a camera. He loves mosh pits, I love mosh pits. He loves flash photography, I love flash photography. We talk about those things and also the larger role that he sees his photography playing in spreading a positive message about underground music. My guest today is Rob Coons. Thank you so much for hopping on this with me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking time out of your day, out of your life to just sit and chat with me about punk rock and photos.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me and asking. It's so cool.
You know, when we started Street Teeth, we really did look at your work as kind of like a just a guiding voice for like how to properly photograph not only a scene but bands and like subcultures in general.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to be able to like sit here and chat with you today. So if you want to introduce yourself and get into it, let's just kick it off.
My name is Rob Coons. I'm based out of currently for the last 30 something years, based out of San Francisco, California. And I'm sure we'll talk about it during the interview, but I have been going to punk and metal shows pretty much my whole life since I was a teenager, but I only started photographing shows about 10 years ago. So I have a lot of fun doing it, and I'm excited to talk about it.
What motivated you to pick up the camera after going to shows for so many years?
It was weird. I can't really pinpoint it, honestly. I bought a nice camera about 10 years ago. I'd never really taken any photos at shows. And I bought the camera with the intent to take nature photos. I'm like way into the outdoors, like go hiking a lot. And, I was like, oh, maybe I'll capture a bobcat or whatever on camera. So I bought this nice camera and I had it for a little while and went out and did some nature shots and what have you. And then I was like, I was still going to shows all the time. I was like, well, let me try this, and let me take it to a show, see what happens. And I did. Super freaked out. It was very scary for me. I don't know. It was very intimidating to photograph a band. Because despite having a lot of peers who were photographers, I'd never really talked to anyone about, what's it like to be a photographer at a show. But I took a couple of photos and I came home, had no idea what I was doing. I tried editing them. They looked okay. And I was like, well, that was kind of cool. So I slowly started taking a camera to shows, this camera that I had purchased. It wasn't immediate. I wasn't like all in. And then it just kept progressing. I wasn't going to every show with a camera kind of thing. And that's kind of how there was nothing that really like set it off, if you will. I just bought a camera for actually unrelated reasons and then was like, let me try to take this to a show.
You're just kind of curious about it and like it kind of built over time. Like the more you brought it, the more you thought about it. And then I'm sure like the nights that you forgot it, you might have seen something. You're like, I wish I had my camera to take a picture of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Sure. And I find myself, not to get too far ahead, but even now, I still go to I try to go to some shows without my camera. I'm making more and more effort to do that. And you can't shut that part of your brain off, especially now. Like I'm standing there, I'm very relaxed. I'm chill without my camera, but my brain is still like, oh, that's a shot. Oh, that's a shot.
Yeah.
Oh, why is that person shooting that way? Oh, they missed that shot. Like all this stuff is going on in my head. It's not too distracting, but it's there.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I found myself at a show last weekend where like I'll bring my camera, but sometimes I won't even take a photo, or maybe I'll take like one or two, because like the thought of going to a show now without my camera just feels like leaving the house naked. Like I'd rather have it on me and not need it rather than need it and not have it. It's just that habit that you build. Like you get, I don't know, you almost get like addicted to taking photos at shows. It just becomes like a part of you, like an extension of like who you are and your identity.
100%. And it's funny because now, when I go to shows without my camera, inevitably somebody goes, what? No camera? Like, Like, and like it's an extension of my body. Like I showed up without my arm or something. They're like, what happened to your arm? I left it on. Sorry.
Sorry, maybe next time I'll remember it.
It actually happened last night. I went to a show and somebody walked by and they're like, I mean, they're never mean about it, but they're always kind of surprised. They're like, wait, what? Where's your camera?
Yeah, like, is everything okay? Did it break?
Yeah. So, no. But anyway, that's kind of how I kick things off.
How long did it take for you to start using the flash? Because I read a couple of spots where you didn't start out initially doing that. So what was that process like, getting comfortable with the flash?
I talked about being freaked out. Like using a flash at shows was really like, I was like, man, everyone's going to hate me and like it'll drive everyone crazy. So I was super intimidated by using a flash. It took about a year. I talked to a couple of friends of mine who were in punk bands, and I asked them how they felt about people using flash at shows and stuff. And inevitably the answer was constantly, I don't care, or I don't even see it. Well, a lot of times there's flashing stage lights and everything. So your flash is almost kind of like embedded in the environment. So most of the people, if not all the people I talked to, didn't really seem to, they were pretty nonplussed about it. So I finally got the guts to take one to a show. It was about a year after I started taking a camera to a show. And I photographed this band. And my photos were like 1,000 times better.
That's it. That's what I've been looking for.
Not that my photos were bad before, but if you shoot without a flash, especially dark punk or metal shows, you know it's extremely difficult to get even a remotely decent shot.
You got to really know a thing or two about editing your way out of that darkness or like the red or purple lights.
But some shows are even so dark that it's literally impossible to get shows. It's always interesting to me being at a show and watching. It almost inevitably happens at these kind of bigger shows where we're not allowed to use flash, right? And there'll be like 5 people in the photo pit or whatever, or in the crowd. And the band comes out and like the lights are so dim, I just watch all the photographers around me put their cameras away. They're like, I got nothing on this.
He's got it.
I usually put my camera away as well because I'm watching other people and I take a couple of test shots and I'm like, yeah, I'm looking into a blackened void.
Yeah.
Here. So I tried the flash there and I was like, wow, that was really cool. And no one around me seemed particularly affected. I'm still hyper aware of that. And I try to, if you will, read the room.
Yeah.
Make sure, I'm not going to step into like a darkened goth show with candles and stuff or whatever. And like shoot with flash, right? So you got to kind of read the environment. And then I just started taking a flash from there. And now I shoot everything with a flash unless I'm not allowed to, or once again, I'm reading the environment or someone asked me not to, which really has actually never happened.
And that was something that got me comfortable with the flash as well. Like once I realized all of the flashing lights that were happening in there, I realized that my hesitation with the flash was more about like drawing attention to myself and letting everybody know that, I'm here taking pictures. And like I think it's just like building that comfort and that confidence to like be in a room and you're almost like performing with your camera with the flash because you can't hide it. You're very much in everybody's face and it's very abrasive. But, like you said, people love it. Like they love the energy. They feed off of it. It announces to them that you're there. So like if they're in the pit and they see the flashes going off, like they'll run up on you or they know like where you're about to be like in the pit and they'll hit a pose in front of you.
Or the flip side. For some reason, a lot of people don't, it may be so chaotic, they don't even realize you're holding a camera. And then those people inevitably run into my flash or my camera and will break something off. And I know it's never intentional. It's like, you didn't see this massive metal like thing hanging off my hand. But
how many flashes have you lost?
3. So I'm going to knock on wood right now because I'm pretty lucky. Actually, no, I take that back. 4. I broke one earlier this year. So 4 flashes. Both of my camera bodies have had severe liquid damage. I've had to send them both in from people never intentional. That's really, I want to make sure that's clear, but people throwing like water, like a full cup of beer or a full cup of water. Somehow I have this sonar magnet on my camera that seems to attract those things.
It attracts elbows and full beers.
Yeah, and yeah, just 4 flashes over the 10 years. So I guess that's a good track record, one every 2+ years. So
I lost one about a year ago, and somebody like elbowed it, and I just saw it happening. It was just like boop, and then it just folded back, and it was still connected by the wires, but I could still use it. So I was kind of using it as like an off-camera
oh
flash for a
wow.
little bit, and then I had to duct tape it because we were out on like a 2 day trip photographing some stuff. So I was able to salvage it. But I recently switched to like a smaller like a little pancake flash for like the little Godox ones, and whenever somebody
Yeah.
elbows that, it just goes flying off the camera, and they're much cheaper than the bigger ones.
Yeah, I mean, I just have a standard, not like looks like a cobra coming out of the camera, like just asking to be ripped off. I've gotten pretty good at protecting my flash though, and anything's possible. But one tip I give to people, since we're talking about it, is I'll hold my hands up so you can see. I won't block my face. Let's say I'm holding my camera. I'm holding my camera in the right hand.
Uh huh.
I actually wrap my fingers around the base of the flash
Oh.
when it's really chaotic. It's not foolproof, right? But if things are super chaotic, I because I can still shoot. I'm moving my hands around, I'm photographing and stuff, but I try to keep a little bit of a pressure in that area. So if someone hits it, at least I've got a little bit of strength in holding my flash in place so it doesn't completely fold off immediately.
Right. Yeah, there's just like a little something there to protect against like an elbow or a fist or something.
But it's tricky because oftentimes if it's that chaotic, I'm using my free hand to just survive.
Yeah.
Basically, the camera is no longer. I mean, I always try to protect it.
It's almost like you're carrying a football like this, and you're just like kind
Oh,
of
I love
blocking
that
and
you said
hiding
that.
behind people, and then you just kind of like pop up, hit some shots, and then go back to like hiding behind a big guy in the corner, and you just kind of like pick your moments.
I love that you said the football thing. I've always thought that. I'm literally, if you were to watch a football player on TV, that looks like a typical show photographer in the pit. You're just like,
That video of you that you posted at I think it's Dead City, where like you're up against the bus, and it's like a very like you're there with you. It's like a third person shooter of like you shooting a pit, and like you kind of like see that where you're like cradling it, and you got your hand up, and you're just like moving around, and like you're really in the flow of things. So like, how long did it take you to like really like develop navigating a pit and like slowing things down and being able to see those moments?
pretty quickly once I start. I mean, I wasn't really trying to photograph the pit very much that first year because I couldn't because it was too dark. But once I started using flash, I immediately moved into pit mode, and I think I developed a protective style pretty quick. 3 of the 4 times my flash has been ripped off with by stage divers, and as much as you can protect your camera, if someone lands on top, right on top of you,
There's no protecting from that.
yeah. So, but no, I picked up on it pretty quick. I felt like because I mean, I have decades of being at shows prior, so I kind of knew already how to like protect myself and do this and that. It was just bringing like another thing into a picture I was very comfortable and familiar with already.
Where you already had that muscle developed, so it was just a matter of like developing your eye and being able to see those moments.
Yeah, yeah.
Does it push you to go into gnarlier moments than you normally would if you didn't have the camera? Like when you were going to shows without cameras, were you still standing in the same places? Or like since you introduced the camera into the show, were you going like into like where it was like really going down?
That's a great question. So yes, to some extent, and then no. So the yes, it did push me farther. I've never, my whole life, except maybe in my first few years of going to shows when I was a teenager, I've never been a really big slam dancer. Um, I've been the person that stood right in front of the band, usually dead center, at the stage or slightly off to one side or the other. Um, so that's often where I find myself with my camera, because those are where the shots are. With that said, so that's the no part of the equation. I was always there, but the yes part is because I really like photographing people in the pit or stage divers from different angles. I will, because I have a camera in my hand, go to different scenarios where I probably wouldn't be standing. So yes, that's actually a really good question to maybe catch a little more of the chaos. So it's half and half, really, kind of depending on where I'm going and what I'm doing.
Because on some of your carousels, it's like you're everywhere in the show all at once, and like your head is totally on a swivel. It's like band, mosh pit, stage diver from below, stage diver from the stage.
Yeah.
So you're just like you're really working the room and creating a great sense of the story, not only from angles but also like how dynamic everybody is looking. And that's just something I've really like respect about the way that you work a show.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I was actually a great example of that. I don't know if you saw the photos I posted recently of Spy. Was really great because I was constantly, a lot of times if shows are that chaotic, I kind of I'm not too worried about myself. I'm more worried about my camera gear. I've lost hundreds and hundreds of dollars in camera gear. So usually I kind of lock in and like the safest spot I can find. But sometimes bands will kind of push me out of that comfort zone. And then for Spy, I was all over the place. Like I was on both sides of stages. I jumped in the crowd. Like I was like really working it. Partly because I was having fun, and partly because I knew if I was there's I don't know if you've ever seen them before, but they're so crazy and intense live. I knew that I had to work different angles to like get better photos, if you will. So yes, I was kind of pushing all the boundaries of what I would say approximation to the stage. But that was also it was so funny to me. I laughed so hard afterward. It wasn't laughable at the time though. In my head, my disturbing head, I was a little bit like, that's kind of funny. I jumped into the crowd like mid set, and I was like, and I whistled down next to one of my friends who's a show photographer, and I no sooner than my feet touched the floor, the singer Spy was like, he's like, I want everyone on this stage right now, and a million stage dives during this song. I was like, oh no. So I barely got any photos during that one song because I just had people jumping on me left and right. So I was in full camera protection mode.
The one hand like this, just trying to protect your face and the camera.
My timing was impeccable for that moment. So I stayed down there for a couple more songs because, it was a big stage diving show, but like, whenever the singer, like you go see Terror or like whoever, and they're always like, get up here. Usually people are like, okay.
It's like a swarm of ants on the microphone. Everybody's just after it.
Yeah, it was insane. And I was dead center. So of course everyone's coming straight at me. So,
and you mentioned like just the fun aspect of it. Like I really get that from all of your carousels and all of your posts. Like you feel the fun, not only like from the performers themselves, but also like from you and the way that you present them. Like it feels very real, and like you're not just there taking pictures to take pictures. Like you can very much tell it's who you are, and it's where you want to be, and it's what you want to be doing at all costs.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really important facet of my photography that I always, if someone asks for like advice, and you think you're a photographer or an older photographer for that matter, let me rephrase that, a newer photographer. I try to instill the thought of have fun and enjoy the show first. That should always be your priority. And then the photos come second. I'm a hardcore believer in that. I'm not standing in front of any band that I don't want to see to begin with. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't go photograph a band that I don't like, or that doesn't energize me in some way. So, when I'm there, I'm having fun, I'm enjoying the band, and side product, I'm taking photos. So that's a really, really important thing to me. And, I've talked to other photographers about this. I'm sure you'll agree. The more that you're into the band, the more excited you are about the show, just as a root level, the better your photos are going to be. The photos are almost secondary, but it's more natural. You're into it. You're feeling the timing of the moment. You're feeling the crowd. You're part of the crowd, and that elevates your art, in my opinion. So I always try to instill like these thoughts if someone asks, like, you know, try not to focus on your camera so much. Have fun. You're there, you're having fun, you're trying to get a photo, but like if you miss a couple shots or whatever, it's okay. Like you're still there having fun, you're still serving your purpose of standing in front of this band. So that's really important to me.
If you're not having fun and other people are having fun and you're trying to capture that, it's gonna fall flat because you're not vibing off the same energy that they are. But if you're in the crowd singing along and like feeling it and like sweating and doing everything that's going on there, like your photos are gonna come across like that.
100%. And honestly, I mean, whatever, we all have our different photo styles. This is not a judgment statement, but it is something that I notice. Like, you have this monstrous thing. You're shooting this bright flashlight across the audience, across the band. You're standing out. But when I'm at a show, I'm fist pumping, like I'm jumping up and down, I'm pogo dancing, I get in the pit, I'm moving around. This is all done with my camera. In my head, at least, I feel like I'm assimilating into the audience more. And somehow the side product of me taking these flash photos or whatever, I mean, this is all in my head. I've never really like done an analysis on it, but it makes me want to believe that somehow I'm assimilating into the crowd and it makes my presence more acceptable. I'm no longer just a guy photographing the show. I'm a fan having a great time who happens to be taking pictures. So, and I'm not intentionally doing those things just to be part of a crowd. Like I'm hyped, you know what I mean? Like I'm there to enjoy the show. So, that's also really important to me. So oftentimes, unless I'm kind of locked into a spot that I can't move from, I'm always moving around or jumping around or like letting the band know how excited I am for them. So that's important to me.
And I think that goes a long way too when you are a part of the crowd that you're photographing, when you are a part of the subculture that you're photographing. Like you're not a visitor. You're not just there to like be like, oh, these people look interesting, let me photograph them. Like this is a space that you would be in with or without a camera. And you were there long before you even had a camera. And it's just like a natural extension of who you already were. And it's just now you have this skill that you've developed and you're able to share something and give it back to the community that has meant so much to you over a huge majority of your life. And I think that's what's so impactful about taking pictures in these spaces when you are part of the culture and you're trying to move it forward and capture it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your eye is usually to the pit, keeping an eye on people. So what do you think makes for a good moshing style?
Moshing style? I am, because it's what I grew up with. It's what I saw in the earliest pictures and videos that I saw as a teenager. I love the classic style. And the best example that I could give that everyone would know would be the circle jerks guy, like the classic, or the DRI symbol.
Yeah.
In my head, at least, that those make the most classic, best photos to me. I'm just like, man, like I watch people because even when I was a slam dancer as a teenager, I didn't have any style. I was more I'm just gonna flail around,
skinny and like really kind of like, I don't know, just like angular. So I've never really been able to hit that style. But you're right. I think like when you close your eyes and imagine good style, it's the DRI logo. It's the circle jerks thing, just like that classic look.
It gets me every time. And then, I mean, I like when I'm in a pit and I'm photographing, I'll photograph lots of different craziness in the pit because there's always something going on, right? But if I see someone coming at me in that classic, especially if they're like really down low and really just powering through it, to me, that is almost like the perfect pit shot.
Their head's like kind of down. They're like looking up a little bit, like through their eyebrows at you, and kind of just see the whites of their eyes.
Yeah, I think one of the photos, we have a couple of photos we might be discussing later that kind of emulate what we're discussing here.
I really like a good kind of just like bruising, like sort of like caveman style, where they're almost like walking to like a WWF
Yeah.
ring, where it's like you can feel the floor shaking as they're coming.
The big metal dudes, yeah.
Yeah, just like big gnarly metal dudes just going the wrong way and stiff arming everybody out of the way. I love that. It's like it's aggressive in a different way. They're never moving very fast, but I don't know. There's just something really funny about it because when you're taking photos of the pit, things are typically going in the same direction,
Yeah,
so you're
yeah.
usually stuck with a lot of pictures of people coming in from the left side of the frame. So whenever you can get somebody coming the opposite direction, I think it's like a great way to break up a carousel.
100%. Yeah. That's always a crazy style. I don't see that quite as often. It has to be almost a certain type of show. Sometimes, at least out here, you're like, oh, okay, that's fitting. Like that, just this guy comes through, just powering through.
You see that more and more at like a show that attracts people that don't necessarily go to too many shows, like a big metal show,
Oh
where
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like they're one show a year and like they're gonna take up as much space as possible because they have their ticket and they're there to go the wrong way on a one-way street.
100%, 100%. You nailed it.
Your shooting style is like super intuitive too. Like I see videos of you and read about it where you're not even looking through a viewfinder or anything. You're kind of just like looking at what's going on and pointing for it, pointing and shooting and like hoping for the best.
Yeah,
How long did it take you to like trust that style to like really like just be able to like stick your camera out and go for it and know that you're gonna be getting something, or like to just you kind of like see it in your head a little bit when you're putting your camera out, like you kind of like see your framing in your mind when you're sticking it out, or like how did you develop that?
it was kind of immediate. When I started photographing, I immediately started veering towards energy and action shots. Because that's what, even as just a showgoer before I ever picked up a camera, that was always exciting to me to see someone doing a weird back bend and howling out a cramp style whatever, or someone jumping or just like that. I was always really drawn to that level of intensity. So when I started photographing, that's immediately what I started going towards. And I felt like I often get a question, how do you get so many jump shots or action shots? And, it's really, I can't really explain it. Other than I've been listening to this style of music for so long. It's very intuitive for me. Like I have a very good concept of song structure and anticipation because I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of bands and been listening to this music for my whole life. So it's like I can almost anticipate. I'm of course I miss all the time. I'm not perfect at this by any stretch of imagination, but I can almost anticipate these moments before they happen. I'm like a second or two before, and I'm just like, oh, he's about to jump, or you can feel the time change coming, or you can almost watch whoever the guitarist or the singer, their legs almost kind of compress a little bit. You just like my eyes are constantly scanning, and I'm listening to music. It's almost a half visual and half listening to like audio because I'm fully tuned in the moment. I'm really enjoying the show and the band, but I'm also really dialed on what they're presenting, whether it be or how they're presenting, however you want to phrase it. So yeah, it was really intuitive from the start of like just being able to capture these moments. And so you kind of alluded to it, but even from the very get-go, it's very rare that I look through my viewfinder. Like, I photographed that big show the other night at the Mabuhay. It was Spy and Sentinel, like 4 bands. Photographed in the pit. I photographed the bands on the stage. I can assure you 100% of the time I was not looking through my viewfinder.
Uh-huh.
It allows me to move my camera around and get strange angles, or and then I can just follow what's going on in front of me. So my arm is constantly kind of moving, following something. And then I always have my finger on the photo trigger to fire off shots. And I also shoot with continuous. Someone's coming at me and they're gonna stage dive. Like, I'll hold my camera up and then I'll fire off like 3 or 4 shots, and then it gives me a better opportunity to capture that 1 microsecond of essence that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really look through my viewfinder, and that's another tip. And this kind of plays back. It's not intentional, but I was talking about earlier how I try to assimilate more into the audience as just a fan, not so much the, hey, look at me, I have a camera. And I think another thing, and I've had a number of people comment on this, especially people in bands, they're like, you don't even know you have a camera until the flash goes off. Because a lot of times, because I'm never holding my camera up to my face, it's often down by my side or like over my stomach. And so like, it's just, and I'm like, my hand is like a gimbal. It's constantly moving around. But I'm not, I'm looking at them. I'm like standing there going like this. They don't even know really that they're in the focus. And then all of a sudden, off goes the flash. Yeah. And they're like, I've had a good friend of mine. He's like, man, I'm just doing my thing. And next thing I know, I was like, he's a singer and guitarist and does all kinds of things. He's like, and I do something and the flash goes off and I know you've got the shot. I was like, I'm always watching you. So, but yeah, there's a lot of trickery going on there.
That's a great approach to keep it hidden too, because I think once the camera is noticed, then people kind of shift into camera mode.
Yeah.
But if you're able to like hide it and like keep it, at your side, and then you pick those moments, you're able to capture something a little bit more authentic and genuine from that person.
I 100% agree, and I watch people at shows, and kudos to them, but when I'm watching someone, especially if like they're shooting manual or something, because I shoot everything on autofocus because there's no way I would be able to capture what I did if I didn't, and my heart goes out to them and kudos, and they're getting amazing photos, but like they're constantly having to hold their camera up to their face. And then that creates a whole nother situation. It's not only you're drawing attention to yourself, but I'm sure it's happened to you, but the minute your camera gets up near your face, it and depending on the show, could be actually rather dangerous. I've been hit in the face with my own camera a couple times, and it's not necessarily because I was looking through the viewfinder, but like, let's say something's happening over here, and I hold my camera up like here to get the shot, and then next thing I know, a stage driver comes out of nowhere and smashes my metal body camera into my face. But I've been hurt a couple times just by my own camera, not even holding it up to my face to get a photo. So I watch people holding the cameras to their face in chaotic shows, and I'm just like, like, I hope you don't get hurt. I hope you don't get hurt.
You're kind of opening yourself up for injuries to yourself and to your camera because you're blocking your field of view. You need to be like a head on a swivel with that. Everybody's
100%.
Coming from all directions, and like you're saying, stage divers, you got to be really open. I'm kind of in your camp too. I'm never looking through the viewfinder if I'm like in the pit. I kind of I get my settings together and I'm just letting it rip and going for it and hoping for the best.
100%.
So are there any like triggers that you have when you see in the pit? Like if you see somebody doing something, wearing something, or anything really, it's like you see it and you'll like run across the room to get it.
I'm always a big fan of crowd surfers, like photographing. One, I think it's cool, but secondly, I like photographing it. So like my go-to spot for photos in the pit is typically one of the back corners, left or right, usually right side, because people, like you were saying, they're running at you.
Uh-huh.
So that's a really great spot. But if I see someone crowd surfing up in front, like I bolt, like if I can. Sometimes it's too chaotic and I can't, but I'll try to bolt up front.
Jump into traffic really quick, go up front and get it.
That's one thing that I always try to photograph. And, I do love the classic style, but, I love, love, love. It's such a classic thing to me. People with other people on their shoulders. just another thing that I just, it takes me back to a different era. And I'm glad that, I mean, it's such a simple thing. It's not like it only existed then, but it's such a cool thing to see, or people swinging each other around. There's like some classic shots that I really go for when I see people in the pit, and those are a couple of them that really stand out to me.
You're just really drawn to people interacting with each other in these spaces, whether it's like the riding of the shoulders, the swinging around, or the crowd
Sure.
surfing. That's all about like a community effort for the experience. It's not just an individual thing or like a piece of clothing or like a hairstyle or whatever. Like you're drawn to the communal aspects of the show.
But with that said, you just nailed on a couple other things. Those are just a few of the examples. But like, if somebody has a really good mohawk, or like a really funny T-shirt, like I'm a huge fan, and it's kind of big here right now. And I know there's a lot of I don't get involved. I love it, and that's all I gotta say about it. But like, people wearing costumes,
Love it too.
banana suits,
Love them.
love them. I love them. Bring all the banana suits to the show.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the younger people here have really taken to kind of getting into a little bit of cosplay with or like even a little bit of fetish gear, things like that are really starting to pop up at all ages shows here. And to me, that just looks really cool. And I'm really, really supportive of anyone expressing themselves, no matter how they're doing it. And I think it's unique and cool, and I'm super into it. So I am gravitating towards that a lot, an individual, like at a more individual level. Like, I think the bottom line is something unique, right? Like,
Yeah.
whatever that means. I know I've seen your photos. You kind of gravitate towards some of that stuff too. A lot of costuming or funny T-shirts.
Those homemade block letter T-shirts where somebody is going to say like 2 inches, take it or leave it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that shirt was great. Yeah, it was hilarious.
I just love authentic expressions of individuality at the show, no matter what it is, whether it's a costume, banana costume, a weird T-shirt, or we don't get too many mohawks, but you got some sick mohawk shots for sure.
I really like battle vest or battle jackets. I really like photographing the back or front with like all the patches and everything. I haven't done that at a show in a long time, but there are certain shows I'll go to, and I'll look around the room and I just start approaching person after person after person, just being like, "Hey, can I get a picture of your amazing jacket or whatever?" And usually people are like, "Of course, yeah."
I think you had some really sick ones from, I think it was like an Enzyme show, like one of those DB Crust shows. I really like the style of those jackets where it's all just like different extensions of like the discharge cover.
I miss those guys too, the Enzyme guys. I hope they come back to the US someday. I was really lucky they let me jump into a van with them and electric chair and do a little route up the West Coast. And I've never really done any sort of tours with bands or anything other than like maybe an overnight with a friend's band. So that was a really special thing for me because I didn't really know those guys, right? I had just seen Enzyme on the previous tour of the US, and I met them for like 5 minutes at one of their shows, and I messaged them. I saw they were coming back. I messaged them out of the blue. I was like, "So I know we don't know each other, but can I just tour with you guys like up the West Coast?" It was like 5 days, right?
That's so incredible.
And they were like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds cool." I was like, "Yes." And then I went to LA to meet them, and I show up, and I knew they were going to be with electric chair, but I automatically assumed that they were going to be in separate vans. So I show up, they were at a screen printing place, and they're getting their T-shirts last minute. And they were like, "Electric chair is coming in the van." I was like, "Where's your van?" And they're like, "No, we're all in one van."
The van.
I was like, "Okay." So there were 10 people in one van. But it was the coolest thing because, I mean, everyone in that band was so cool. We all got along, and it was smooth and funny and joking, and like, I don't know, I had very minimal tour experience, but that was a radically cool thing to kind of be like, wow, this was pretty damn cool. I feel very honored to be here right now.
Yeah, and as far as photographing something like that goes, that seems like a best case scenario because everybody's all together all at once. So you could just kind of have your pick of whatever activity you're doing and everybody's available.
Yeah, 100%.
What is your best advice for somebody looking to bring a camera into a pit at a show?
Kind of plays into what we've been talking about. Don't look through your viewfinder. Like, unless you feel absolutely comfortable with your environment, because not only you're going to miss, I'm talking specifically about the pit. When I think pit, it's like chaotic turmoil. There are times, I mean, I'm not like never look through my viewfinder. Occasionally I do, but it's very rare. But like, don't look through your viewfinder, could actually, you're missing shots. And more importantly, you could actually get hurt. Because if you don't see someone coming at you, you could get taken out very easily. Protect your camera as much as you can. Try to take some, I call them blind shots. You know, like when you're really, it's funny because I'm sure you do this too, but like, I may be looking to my left, but out of the corner of my eye, I see somebody do something to the right. And I just, without even well, I can't say without thinking because I am thinking about it, but like, I don't even look, I just photograph, right? Off to my right side because I'm focused on the left for whatever reason. So just, take some chances with your photography. And most importantly, have fun. You're in the pit at a punk show, seeing a band you really like, right? So even if you miss your shots, you don't get anything you like, did you have a good time? Yes. Okay, then your mission is accomplished. That's kind of my thought process on it. But I do find a lot of people, I'm part of that group. There are certain pits that I would never get in. I'm just like, nope, that's not for me. I don't need it because it's no longer camera gear. It's a safety issue. I'm going to get hurt.
Or hurt somebody.
Be safe, protect your camera, try not to look through the viewfinder, and have as much fun as you can.
I'm gonna have to bookmark that and listen to it from time to time because I gotta remember to have more fun out there too, because sometimes you get down on yourself if you're not like getting shots or maybe you're not like in the groove so much, and just remember like you're there for the music, you're there for fun, and that's what it's all about.
One of the funnest things I did last year, to kind of give you an example, it was so cool. Was it last year? Yeah. I went to punk rock bowling for the first time ever. And not only that, but I got to photograph it, right? So I went, and I don't know if you've ever been to punk rock bowling, but there's a million photographers. A million. Like literally. Like the photo pit was busier than probably any show I've ever been to. It was crazy. But I shot my first 3 and then immediately would go to the pit. And from what I could tell, from my perspective, I'm not saying that they're any better or worse, or I'm any better or worse. I'm just saying I felt like I was the only. I would go from like a photo pit of like 30 to 50 people to being the only photographer in the pit. And I had the absolute time of my life. Not because I was the only photographer, but because the Addicts are playing or like whatever, like Coxbar. And that environment was beyond electric because we're not talking like a standard show pit where there's like maybe 15 or 20 people circumambulating. There was like 200 to 300 or more people in these massive pits of like multi-generations and looks and excitement, and everyone's so pumped and singing along. And I was just remember thinking, and I got so many incredible photos from being in there, but I just remember thinking to myself, this is so epic, and this is why punk is so important to so many people, or live music in general, is like there's an incredible community just kind of coming together, having fun, taking care of each other, no judgment, at least. I mean, probably judgment, but at least we're not seeing it. People aren't saying anything or being mean or whatever.
At least in that moment, there wasn't any.
No, and it was absolutely epic. And I just kept coming back to that. There were a couple bands through the weekend. I was like, oh, I need to go to the pit for this. That was a weekend that Flag played, which is basically Keith Morris's version of Black Flag. And man, that was an epic time for me. Great thought.
it's different at fest though. Like you feel that energy much different than you feel at like a show. You know, because everybody goes to a fest for that reason. Like you're going, like you've been waiting months for it, and it's here, and everybody's just there, and they go off all at the same time, and it's just like a huge gathering of the community and everybody that truly loves it. Because you wouldn't go that far out of your way if you didn't really love the thing. Like a local show, you just drive down the street and then you can hate everything. But like, why would you spend all that money to like fly somewhere and just like be a hater in the back?
That's a really funny but great way to put it. Yeah, I mean, when you go to something like that, you've got a mission, right? You're like, yes, I am here to sing my heart out to the addicts or whatever. I paid all this money. I got a hotel room and a flight, blah, 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 So, yeah, people are really coming together and cutting loose and having the time of their lives. So that's a great point.
Hell yeah. And this kind of leads to my next question pretty organically. So, what was it about punk that drew you to it in the first place?
That's a great question. Well, at the root level, it was the music actually that immediately drew me to it. At the time, I lived in the Midwest. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Indiana, and it was a college, a small art college. I lived in a small town, about 40,000 people, and there was an art college there. And I'd never really been there. And the girl I was dating at the time brought me a cassette tape. And she's like, I was listening to this radio show last night, and they played the funniest songs I've ever heard, and I want to play some for you. I was like, oh man, I got to hear this. And so the first punk song I ever heard was Whirl Up My Ass by the Circle Jerks, followed closely by the second song she played me was Institutionalized by Suicidal Tendencies. And I was like, this is hilarious. Isn't it like Whirl Up My Ass? What does that even mean? It's my like,
Yeah.
whatever age it was, 15 or 16-year-old brain.
Was this guy singing about a Pepsi?
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the hell's going on?
I love Pepsi. I totally understand what I understand.
I'd like one now too.
I think my parents tried to put me in an institution once. Like, you're like totally connecting it with in a weird way.
Yeah.
So, I kind of started listening to this radio show, and somehow the music, just the aesthetic of the music, the chords, the heaviness, the speed started to kind of pull me in a little more. And then, I didn't have any access to any punk records or anything, right? There's no internet. So I was relying on this once a week radio show. And then show 2 or 3, and I heard he played like something, probably a Dead Kennedy song or something. And then I remember thinking, whoa, because they're so political and angry. And I was like, I really had there was a lot of unrest, but I think it was mostly for me, but it was mostly teen unrest, right? And then I was like, wait, there's a message here. And then that just kind of took me like 100% to left field politically and culturally.
Because that's messages probably you're not used to hearing in Indiana at the time.
Not at all. It was very, my parents, I don't want to say they were liberal, but they were pretty chill and cool. But they weren't particularly political or anything. So yeah, and then everything else just growing up was just conservative hate. Like in a lot of ways, and a lot of it directed towards me, just being a weirdo at school, So yeah, that was what really pulled me in, was like, it almost went from comedy to this really aggressive politics in a very short time frame. And I realized that both these things can coexist amongst many other different facets within the realm of punk, right? And it just kept clicking with me over and over again. And there was like constant steps. And then I heard they played DRI on the radio show, like after, and I was like, no song, there are very few, if not any other songs that's ever affected me as much as that first DRI song I heard. Because I had never heard anything so fast and angry and aggressive. I was like, what is happening? And I remember I taped it on a tape, and I took it to the girl I was dating at the time. I was like, I was like, I don't think I phrased it in this way, but basically I was trying to say, the Circle Jerks and Suicidal Song, those were cool, but listen to this,
Listen to this.
like, oh my God. And then it was like a rocket trajectory from that point on.
Yeah, you're in.
Finding the heaviest and most aggressive music I could find.
You get addicted to keep like finding more
Yeah.
and more and more. You're just constantly searching for more. And it seems like that search is still continuing to this day.
Yeah. I mean, it's essential. Like, I love music so much. And, it's worth saying at this juncture, I won't get too in depth, but like all the things that I'm posting photos of is probably 95% punk or metal or variants of it. But outside in my own personal life, I listen to everything. Like, I listen to old classic country. I listen to jazz. Like, I listen to a lot of stuff, but I only photograph punk and metal because that's where the most exciting thing for me to photograph.
Yeah.
It's representative of what really drives me. And it's just my favorite thing to photograph. But I listen to all kinds of music. But I will say it's really been interesting, and I had revelations over the last 10 to 20 years is like, I love all these other styles of music. But when I see live music, regardless of whether it's punk or metal, I still can, even if I'm watching someone play like a violin in front of me, but they're so into their instrument and there's a passion and energy to it. Like, I can still connect with that on almost the same level as watching a very intense punk band, because I get it. Like, they're going kind of to a next level of something that maybe I can't comprehend as not being a musician. So it's kind of drives me. I still go see a lot of live music of non-punk and metal. I absolutely connect with it on that same level. It's been a really interesting passage.
What you're speaking of, it's like it's a deeper level of communication coming from the artist playing the guitar or the saxophone or the piano. That's a universal feeling, I think, for all musicians, and you being around it and just paying attention to that throughout all the years. Like, you can see it in somebody when they're really projecting that, when they're really feeling it.
It's magic.
It is. It's lightning in a bottle. It's just that intangible thing that's in the air and crackling. Yeah. And you don't see that unless you're there witnessing it. And like, you can photograph it and you can videotape it, but there is no replacing that live feeling of seeing it with your own eyes.
I have to share something with you. It's one of my favorite photo stories that I've experienced recently. I think it might interest you. Kind of off topic, but on topic very much so. So obviously, I like photographing high energy moments, right? Just the essence of my photography. It's what I love the most. Not only experience in real life, but to capture in on a picture. So I was very lucky. I had an art show here in San Francisco, and it was a Haight Street Art Center. Kudos to them for being so supportive. It was my first solo show. It was a very big deal for me.
That was the Power of Punk Compels You, right?
Yeah. My take on The Exorcist. The Power of Punk Compels You.
Yeah, congratulations on that. That's very cool.
Thank you. It was very, very exciting. But the reason I'm bringing it up is we had one of the nights I was there, they were having an event. I'm not going to go into a long description what the event was, but it wasn't related to my photography. But I went because it was a famous Motown soul singer was singing and playing with Gina Shock from the Go-Go's. Anyway, fantastic. Very different crowd than what would go see my photo show. So I was up at the top. I was talking to somebody at the top of the stairs, and my photos were on the stairs. I watched an older lady walk down the stairs, and I watched her. She had no idea I was a photographer. Stop at every one of my photos, just for a second. And kind of, I could see she was bewildered beyond belief. And then a couple of them, she kind of shook her head and like, I don't understand. I couldn't tell if it was a disgust or I didn't understand, maybe a little of both, or maybe something I wasn't even tuning into. But I watched her literally go down the steps to every photo and stop and be like, and I was like, "There's mine, girl." This is the best reaction I could ever get from any of my photos. Is kind of like, they're in this weird way. I love that, people our peers, they see it and they're like, oh yeah, this is so cool. I like, they can identify with that moment. But I love the fact that someone can look at it and it's pouring out so much of something, energy, excitement, rage, whatever I'm capturing in a moment, that people are having a hard time outside of our culture even connecting with it in any way. So it's kind of exciting to me. Of course, I want everyone to be like, oh my God, that's the best photo ever. But, first of all, that's an unrealistic belief. But to find someone challenging or being challenged, but yet taking the time to observe every photo was a really monumental thing to me. Like, I'm honestly making an impact and maybe giving her something to think about. And maybe she went home and she was like, maybe looked up one of the band names. I don't know, right? So like,
Or maybe she went home and was like, I saw the weirdest stuff and it made me feel weird. I don't know what to think about all that.
So anyways, that was a really cool moment for me. I felt very accomplished for a moment.
I think about that a lot too, because I try to remove like good or bad from my photos. And it's more about just like, does this get an emotional response from somebody?
100%. Yeah.
And whether they agree with that or not, she still took the time to stop and look at every single photo of yours. And it affected her so much that she stopped her day to look at them.
Yeah. And that was really important to me. And I almost kind of wanted to go talk to her after watching her go all the way down the steps and ask her, like, what did you think of those photos? Not really questioning and like anything that she did, just be like, hey, I noticed you checking out my photos. Like, are you into it? Like, but part of me just wanted to let that moment go, like,
yeah,
not create any sort of weird environment for that she would be watched.
Sometimes it's good to not know, because like you run up on her like, hey, what do you think of my photos? You're like, ah,
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I'm excited.
And you travel a lot too to take photos. So how has traveling to other scenes and cities affected your growth as a photographer and a creative?
I don't feel like necessarily traveling has enhanced my creativity. What it has done, because I don't want to stereotype my own love of and the love of my life, punk rock, but like, I have found bands may sound different, crowds are slightly different, but there's a pretty strong similarity across the world when you go to a show, right? I mean, I've been all over the world and seen shows. I've seen shows in many pockets of the U.S. I've seen shows in Japan. I've seen shows in Indonesia. I've seen shows in Kenya. So, I've seen punk shows in a couple of different areas. I'm speaking specifically of punk shows. Like, I've seen live music in Morocco and other places, but only punk in a couple of different countries. And inevitably, there's a lot of similarities in the scene. So, the inspiration isn't necessarily from that point. What I find inspiring and rad, and what keeps me, one of many things that keeps me amongst the punk community, is I can go to any one of these countries and immediately I'm at home. Like, camera, no camera. I walk in a club in Tokyo or Nairobi or whatever, and even though I may stand out a little bit, like, I feel like I'm at home. I walked in, these are my people, this is my music, this is my community. And without a doubt, I'm usually pretty shy in those situations, but without a doubt, eventually I'll end up hanging out with people that I don't know, or people will come up and I was like, why are you here?
What brought you here?
Yeah, and then we'll start talking about familiar bands, or like, it was interesting. I worked for Maximum Rock and Roll for like 30 years. I don't know if you're familiar with that magazine. But at the time, when it was still around, I mean, people still know what Maximum Rock and Roll is, but it's been gone long enough in print edition that it's kind of starting to fade a little bit.
You're kind of just left with PDF scans online now.
That and the radio show keeps going. But the point of me bringing that up is it was so cool because I would always, when I would travel, I would always have stickers, Maximum Rock and Roll stickers or buttons or whatever with me. And I would always, it'd be such an icebreaker because it seemed like punks worldwide knew what maximum rock and roll was. So that was always a good groundbreaker. Like to be like, I was like, hey, what brings you here? I'm like, oh, I'm really into punk and kind of wanted to see like what the show was like tonight. And I wouldn't say, oh, I work for maximum rock and roll or anything, but I'd be like, hey, I have some stickers, some pens. Would you be interested? Oh yeah, yeah. And then it was always a great icebreaker because inevitably somebody would be like, oh my God, Maximum Rock and Roll. Yes, I know. They reviewed my band or like whatever. But yeah, so creativity, you sort of maybe a little, or just getting different impressions of different scenes, but ultimately it's a community. And it feels like you can just walk into any club in any part of the world and just be like, I have arrived. It's the coolest, amazing feeling.
You show up as a card carrying member of the culture, and you can drop in anywhere
100%.
if you're cool and you show up for the right reasons. And it's the same with metal too, because me and Sam kind of travel in that circle a little bit more than punk, but it's exactly the same. You show up with a Slayer shirt in any country, you're going to be welcomed by other people in Slayer shirts.
It was so funny. I wish I could remember what band it was. It was like some Scandinavian band or some like really kind of like obscure Scandinavian punk band, right? So I was sitting there, kind of near, I don't know if you've ever been to San Francisco, but we were kind of in a very touristy area, and there's an area where you can park and just look out at the ocean. So me and my wife are sitting there. I'm just whatever. It's not a show, and I'm eating we're eating our sandwiches, looking out the windshield of the beautiful ocean, and this random guy just comes walking by with this super obscure punk shirt on. That something like it wasn't like Dead Kennedys or something. It was like if you knew, you knew, but if you didn't, you didn't. Right? And I was like, I have to talk to this guy. And Jennifer, my wife, was like, what? I'm like, I jumped out of the car and I walked over and I was like, hey, and he's like, kind of looked a little bewildered. I was trying to be calm and not like get right in his face. I was like, hey, man, I was noticing your t-shirt. And he was like, yeah. I'm like, man, they're so good. I'm like, are you from San Francisco? And he's like, no. And it turns out he's from this foreign country. So we chatted for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like immediately click, right? He's like, this band or that band. And then he's like, what's your name? I told him my name. He actually knew my photography.
That's incredible.
It was so bizarre. So we had him hanging out for like 15 minutes. And he's like, man, I got to go. I got to do some things. I'm like, well, how long are you in town? He's like, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So otherwise we would have hung out. But that's just a small sample of like, you were saying the Slayer shirt and anywhere, you're just like, wait, what?
It's an invitation for friendship when you see somebody like in that similar subculture. It's like you might be like the only one out at that time, but you see somebody else walk by, like, oh, hey man, what's up? Like, I love that band. Have you heard this? Have you heard that?
Yeah.
And you can instantly spark a friendship just based off of a t-shirt that you're wearing. It actually happened to me at the gym today. I was wearing a Demolition Hammer shirt, and there was this guy there working out. He's like, oh, I love Lamb of God and Gojira. Should I check them out? So I like punched in an album for him to listen to. And then he came back to me with his noise canceling headphones on and the music clearly at a loud volume. He's like, this is great. I love this. Thank you so much. Yeah. And then just like walked away.
My job is done here. Thank you.
I'm done. Later.
That's amazing. Yeah.
How do you see punk evolving from now? Because you've been in for so long and you've seen the trajectory from when you got in to now. So where do you see punk going in the next 10, 15, 20 years?
Honestly, I almost feel like that's, for me, it's an impossible question to answer because to me, punk, I think in a lot of respects it's almost unpredictable, but I think it keeps reinventing itself and taking styles of music that are familiar or have been done and then just making it their own. And it's this very constant trajectory of like generation after generation keeps reinventing itself. But the bands, and I mean this in the kindest, most respectful way, kind of sound dissimilar. and I love, like, if I go see a band and they sound like Negative Approach, but they're really good, I don't care that they sound like Negative Approach, right? They're ripping,
Yeah,
right? They're tearing my face off right now. Like, who cares?
that's what you want.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, like, anyone that's like, oh, I've seen this, this sounds like this or that, and they're dismissive, I'm like, like, please just shut up. So I honestly think it's a really difficult, if not impossible, question to answer. What my hope is, what I would like to see happen, but the way things, and it's just the way things trend, it's impossible. I wish there was more openness and kindness and community. There is, but there's still so much weird, like, clashing of cultures in punk. And I don't really know if that's something, meaning this style of punk or this style of hardcore doesn't get along with this thing or that thing.
Right.
And that's really very frustrating to me. And it's not like that's never existed, right? But what I would hope is that we can kind of grow beyond that, and punk continues to be a wonderfully beautiful place of acceptance. And I don't know, I mean, I could just go on, but I don't really have a good grasp of where I can see it, because it just seems to kind of like keep cycling through. And I don't mean this in a negative way, but it's almost like it keeps repeating itself a little bit. Which honestly, like I said earlier, I don't actually mind that very much, at least from the musical perspective. But I don't know. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm giving you a bit of a wandering answer, but I don't really have a good, solid answer on this.
I think something that you said at the start of your answer is pretty good, where it's unpredictable. And I think that's something that's always attracted me to certain punk bands, is that unpredictability of where is this song going and is it going to fall apart? Because I think what punk does so well is it just feels like it could just collapse at any second in the middle of a song, but it just keeps grinding and pumping and pushing forward.
I wish I had a better answer for you, but I just don't have it.
I think that was great. Yeah, we'll move on. So I guess we can get into like editing now. So what is your editing and selection process like after a show?
One thing I think is worth mentioning is it's very rare that I actually look at any photos before I leave the show. I don't shoot live. I don't look at the back of my camera. The back of my camera is black. I'd have no.
Do you keep the screen black?
No, I don't ever see what I'm shooting. Because honestly, I don't have time. And when you're looking at the back of your camera, you're already starting to miss everything that's going on around you. So
you're missing two other things that just happened.
Yeah. So it's by choice. And so I feel like that's important because I don't look at what I'm shooting. On a rare occasion, I will look, but it's only because like maybe like the band's taking too long to set up, and I'm like, okay, what are we going here? Like, or whatever. But when I get home, I don't necessarily download things immediately unless it's like I'm doing a fest or something. And then I get it down, and honestly, I know a lot of people like just kind of like do a quick run through and everything, but I am very particular and I'm kind of adamant about it. And some of the things I post in my stories I just did yesterday, like I scour every photo that I take because I don't know. I just don't want to miss something because you might see something in the photo on the third view that you missed on the second and first view. And then you're like, maybe I can get this. And then sometimes you can. Maybe you can edit it or turn the photo sideways and pull it out. Or it's just a lost art. And then you're just not going to get anything. So I will often focus on where I think I got the best photos first, or most interesting photos to me. So I'll go to one particular band of like maybe a couple hundred photos I shot over a night or something. And then I solely focus on that band, and I just pour through those photos, and edit them. And then I kind of do a sweep back and forth multiple times on those photos, uh, trying to give it a fresh eye every time, which is a little tricky because you know as well as I do when you're sitting in front of your computer for a couple hours, you're like, I don't even know if this is good anymore. I've been staring at this photo for like way too long.
Yep, it's lost its flavor. I don't know. I just got to kind of get it out to get it out.
And I think every photographer does this, especially in the day and age of social media. We're always scouring for the money shot, right? You're like, what's going to be your opener?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's going to be the cover of your record? So I'm always looking for that. And then it kind of is a trickle down from there. And then we haven't really talked about it very much, but because of my background in photography, meaning despite not taking photos most of my life in punk, I was constantly looking at photos, and especially because I got into punk in the mid '80s, and then like a color punk photos in a zine didn't exist really in the '80s, right? I mean, they were out there, but you would get everything was in black and white. Like Flipside, Max and Rock and Roll. I mean, Flipside did color covers occasionally, but so everything I saw was black and white. All the photos.
Yeah.
When I started taking my own photos, 100% black and white. Because that's my brain automatically was like, these have to be in black and white. They're punk photos, right?
That's what you associate. Like, I'm shooting punk. Punk is black and white. That's the look. That's the style.
Yeah. So over time, over these past 10 years, I've slowly moved into color more. For a while, it was only if something was colorful in the picture, meaning like, okay, I got this great Mohawk picture, but it's beautiful, like red and orange or whatever. I'm like, I have to put this in color and give it its due diligence, right? Like, you're like, this is amazing.
It's vivid. It's like glowing in the frame, and you'd be doing it a disservice to put it in black and white. Because then that's when it becomes self-serving. When you're not serving the image, like this thing would like be popping in color.
Exactly. And so my color, and then now I'm finding a little more moving into color. But in general, the reason I'm bringing this up is when I'm editing, I'm still flipping almost everything to black and white first. See how that works. And then sometimes, like, it's rare, but occasionally I'll get all the way through all these photos and they'll be all black and white. And I'll be like, God, these would look better in color, wouldn't they? And then I have to go back through and like,
Then you go back.
The mind of an artist never shuts off, right? You're just like, you need to.
Yeah.
And then I tried to dial it down, and then you got to dial it down to 20 photos. So sometimes that's really easy. Sometimes I don't have 20 keepers. And then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I got too many photos. What am I going to do? So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a erratic process, but I think the key takeaway are I don't look at my photos when I'm photographing. And then when I get home, I don't pour over the whole, I'll call it a reel, or the whole set from the whole night. Like, I'm very specific. I'll go to one segment and just concentrate on that.
Like per set, like this set, this set, this set. And then you build your edits based off of those sections that you shot throughout the night.
Correct. The only time I'm kind of jumping through the whole take of the night is when, like, I posted my most recent post was all these crowd shots from the show I went to the other night. And so I'm taking on and off throughout the evening. So unless there's a lot from one particular band and I can focus on just those, usually I'll go across the whole gambit to make sure that I'm capturing all the crowd shots that I got.
And the way you were describing that is very much like what I was talking about earlier, where it feels like your carousels are like you're looking at the band and then you're looking at the crowd, and then like here's another band shot and then here's a couple crowd shots. It's like the whole experience where you're just like constantly moving and you get a real sense of the energy of what was happening during the show.
I don't do it all the time, but I do really like throwing in occasional crowd shots with band shots, like band post, because I think you're already, at least I hope anyway, that I'm presenting this very energetic, exciting set of photos. And then I feel like the crowd shots that we're taking during their set add this whole another element of like, and you know, it's with intention, but without at the same time. Like, I think it probably really stokes the kid or the adult or whatever, the person being photographed. Now they're part of this band set that they were so excited to see. So, they're like, oh my God, my photos on the whatever, the spy photo set. I can't believe this is so cool or whatever. So
It puts you in the crowd
yeah,
for the band, like as the viewer, like I'm there in the crowd now, and then back to Spy, high kicking.
exactly.
Because they got some serious kicks. I don't know how he gets his feet up there like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I watch band. It's so funny. It's very telling. And like this will catch my eye every time. If like I'm just chilling, right? Bands putting their amps up or whatever. And then I will see some guy in the band like go over behind like the drum set and he'll be doing like these calisthenic like things. And I'm like, I'm watching that guy. My eyes are on that guy the whole set.
Oh, he's jumping for sure.
Or somebody's doing like push-ups in the back or like whatever weird thing. Pre-show rituals, I feel like whatever that person's doing is going to lead to something very exciting on the stage.
They're preparing themselves for they're transitioning from civilian to stage person, and it's about to go down. And so when you're going through your photos, like what qualifies as a keeper for you? What are you looking for in a photo that's like, that's it, that's something I'm proud of?
The two key factors are, I've never said it this way, but I'll call it the double E factors.
Rob Coons is double E.
I just made this up.
TM.
Please don't quote me on this. Anyway, emotion and energy. Another thing we haven't really talked about, we've talked a lot about energy, right? But like, I feel all the things when I see live music. It makes me happy. It makes me sad. It makes me rage. It makes me cry. I guess that's kind of sad. And so I fully understand that and feel that all the time when I'm seeing live music. So when I am photographing shows, I mean, it's a really intimate thing, and but I really try to capture people, those expressions, if you will, because sometimes we just have to let it out, right? And if I can capture that emotion, it's raw, and I think that maybe not the lady that was walking down the steps confused by my photos, but I think the majority of the people see it, can understand, they connect immediately. They're like, oh yeah, whatever that moment is with that person.
I feel that.
Yeah. So I think that's really important, and that can be from an audience member or a band member. And a lot of the emotion that I capture, mostly because where I'm at angry punk shows, is rage or intensity. Not to say rage as in like hate, but just a release, right? It's just like, it's like screaming at the clouds, if you will.
Screaming and smiling somehow at the same time.
Yeah. Getting it out. So that's really, really important. So, and then of course, I think we've talked a lot about energy and jumping and kicks and stage dives and everything, but I don't think we had really touched on the importance of capturing the emotion that comes with all that movement. So those are the two most essential things for me, that I focus on.
As photographers at these shows, we're observers.
Yeah,
And not only are we observing like the physical, you're observing the emotional as well. And I think it's very important to be in tune with those
sure.
because then you start to feel it and then you're able to put that feeling into your own photographs.
Yeah, we're observers, but we're also participants. So like, and oftentimes, especially if I'm really like, there are just times where uh, there's certain times where like my emotions and my brain like kind of, it almost transcends like any remoteness of being, any feeling of being there as a photographer. I am just in the moment. I happen to have a camera in my hand, but it's almost this weird thing that I don't even know. It's just clicking away. I don't know how to describe it. Like that I'm so into the band, and oftentimes everyone around me is into the band. So I'm in 100% dedication to participation at that moment, like screaming, singing along, dancing, feeling whatever emotion I am at the time. And in some ways, I'm almost capturing it because I can go back. It's almost self-serving in a weird way. I can go back and look at that photo of someone else and be like, I remember that moment. I remember screaming along to the band or doing whatever I was doing at the moment. So it makes for a great photo. But like I said, it's almost a little, in a weird way, self-serving because I'm like, yes, yes, I know that moment. And so,
It takes you right back there.
yeah. And I don't know. Sometimes, obviously, the viewer who doesn't know that moment, it may be slightly lost on them, but I still feel like that emotion is captured. So it's giving someone something who's viewing it.
You're not alone with your tears at shows. I think I've cried maybe 2 or 3 times at shows just because it gets so overwhelming when you're standing there and feeling all of that energy. You're just fully present in the moment, and when it's really going off, it's like you're not like crying. You're just like, oh my God, and then like just tears come out of you,
Yeah.
and then you're just connected with every single person that is present at that moment.
Yeah, tears. I think the one thing that happens to me, it doesn't happen a lot, and it doesn't. I get the similar emotions, but when a lot often at shows, but when a band can give me full body goosebumps, I'm just like, I know that I've reached a level I don't hit very often. I'm just like, when that happens to me, I'm just like, oh, like it just kind of transcends anything really that I can feel at a show.
I think that's your body just telling you you're exactly where you need to be at that moment. And like
Yeah, it's a great way to say it.
we're here, this is what's happening. Make sure you take a picture, but also like enjoy this moment.
Yeah, yeah. You were in the right place at the right time, friend.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, but is there anything so we talk about like all these things that we do photograph and we do look for, but are there things that shows that you'll see and just not photograph or just like let it go?
That I don't photograph. Uh, yeah. Uh, I don't photograph excessive violence. I don't. No way. Um, I I am not a fan of it. I don't like it. I don't like its presence at shows, and I don't want to photograph it or support it in any way. So that can mean anything from a fight, or someone just being aggressively violent towards the crowd. I have a heavy filter on my photos. Uh, I'm very cautionary. I always want people to look their best. Uh, and so I always try to present people in the coolest, most radical way ever. So I don't photograph violence or people that are being overly aggressive. I also try to be very conscious of capturing people at their absolute best. um, And even if I get what I think would be a good photo, but maybe someone's not looking at their absolute best, there's no way I would ever post it.
If it's like an unflattering angle or
Yeah.
like a body part, it's just not like sitting right, and like it just like
Yeah.
you put yourself in that, like, would I be okay looking like that?
You 100% nailed it. And it sounds like you're probably very similar in your approach. Like,
Very conscious of that. Like I want people to feel stoked when they see the pictures that we put out of them. You know, I don't if somebody laughs at a picture, I want them to be laughing with the individual, not at them.
yeah.
And you know, I have a lot of humor in the stuff that I post, and that's the one thing that I think I'm the most conscious of, beyond just making sure everybody looks like strong and put together and their best.
I mean, it just happened to me the other day. I posted a picture of someone in a crowd, and you know how, like, if someone, I don't think I see everything, but if someone reshares a photo of yours in their stories, it'll often pop up and you can see like people who are reposting in their stories, whatever. But someone reposted a photo of them, and it was just a picture of them, like, crowd surfing, I think. And they were like, they, not towards me, but they wrote on their thing, "Man, I look so stupid in this photo, ha ha ha," or whatever. So I immediately I thought it was a great photo. I was like, I would never post something that I thought made somebody look bad. Um, I thought they looked really happy and just having the time of their lives, the crowd surfing, whatever. So I don't know this person. I messaged them. I was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry you don't like the photo. Would you like me to take that off the post?" And they messaged me back and they're like, "Wow, thank you so much for reaching out." They're like, "Actually, I really love the photo. I just have a lot of, I have a lot of, I have a lot of, I don't know how they phrased it, self awareness, maybe issues with the way they look. I don't remember their phrase.
Yeah.
But they're like, "Actually, I really love this photo a lot." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm really glad that you like the photo." I said, and I kind of like tried to identify with, like, I'm like, I take photos all the time of people, and I hate having my photo taken because I don't like the way I look in
Yeah.
photos. So, like, I understand, kind of like, I was trying to identify a little bit, and they were like, it actually, looking at this photo and how cool I look, it's like, I feel like it's actually giving me some confidence. And I was like, okay, well, we just had a nice little conversation, and we ended up, they were like, "Yeah, please leave it on the internet." So, not only am I aware of that, but I'm also hyper conscious of kind of just checking in with people if that's not the first time that's ever happened, right? So I just try to, like, I'm like, probably much like you, I don't know 95% of the people I post photos of. So, we all have look and body issues and all kinds of weirdness around how we're presenting. So, I'm very, very hyper aware of it. And it sounds like you really identify with that approach as well.
It's so important to have that empathy towards the people that we're photographing, because that's how you maintain that respect for you walking into a room and everybody knows, like, he's here to do a thing. He's going to take some really great photos of us. So, like, let's give him the space to do that. But I think once you start to betray the trust of the scene that you're in, then that's when maybe it becomes a problem. And, you have to be willing to take critiques from people like that, where it's like, you have to take this down. Like, just because you post it doesn't mean it's great. Like, just be flexible with the way that you share your work.
Yeah.
And it'll go a long way.
Yep.
I think now it would be cool to talk about a couple of your photos.
Absolutely. That's good.
I picked out 3.
Okay.
So let's start with the first one. Do you have the PDF?
I do.
Open?
The very first one,
The very first one.
the young kid.
Yeah, I absolutely love this photo so much. I'll let you talk about it first, and then I'll chime in.
That photo of the young guy was taken at Gilman Street, the infamous 924 Gilman. It was a Gorilla Biscuit show, but I honestly, at the moment, can't remember what band he was slam dancing to. But to me, I think when I look at that photo, there's a couple of things that really stand out and make it really important to me. Number one, it's timeless, meaning if you were, other than some of the fashion choices behind the subject, if you were to look at that, you're like, wait, is this 1981 or 2021, or like what is happening here, right? And that it's not necessarily a goal of my photo, or when I'm photographing, but I think partly because I grew up looking at early 80s and mid 80s and late 80s punk photos, that aesthetic leans heavily into my work. So if I can capture something that looks timeless, that doesn't, it's not some kid doing crazy move in a pit that nobody did 40 years ago, right? It's very exciting for me. So I like the timeless feel of that photo. And we were talking about earlier, you were talking about what do you like to photograph in the pit? And he's got like that classic, he's got the swing arm going, just like everything really clicking in the right place for a great pit photo. And then the final point is youth. Like, I don't know. I've met that kid since then. He actually came up to me one time. He was like, "Hey, I'm the I'm the kid from that photo." And I was like, he's no longer a kid. I mean, he's still young, but right? He's like, photo was taken a number of years ago. Super cool person. But I like that it's youth. And it's funny, sometimes I joke about, we're very lucky here. I don't know if you're seeing a similar, but like we're very lucky here that we have a lot of older people that are still into punk and participating in bands and booking shows and everything. So I'm surrounded by my peers of similar demographic age and what have you. But with that said, sometimes I feel like an energy vampire for youth. Like it's constantly re-inspiring and reinvigorating me. And so like,
absolutely,
I go to these shows and, new bands and new faces and everything. And it's constantly inspiring me. Like, I'm like, yes, it's just the punk scene, I don't know where it's going in the future, but hey, it keeps reinventing itself and new generations are popping in all the time. And I feed mentally off of that energy and just like, yes, yes. So it's fun for me to capture that and kind of share it with the world, if you will. So those are really three really important things. I really draw my eye to that picture every time I see it. And I'm pretty excited. I recently, now it's been a few months now, but despite going to Gilman, I came out to the Bay Area on vacation back in the late 80s. It was the first time I went to Gilman, and it was like, you couldn't believe I was stepping into 924 Gilman Street, even at that time. And it still kind of has that aura. Like people come from across the United States to go to Gilman Street still to this day.
And that's so rare now too, to have a venue like that still happening in a city.
Yeah. But then I proposed a couple months ago. I was like, would you guys be cool with me putting a couple photos up in Gilman? And they're like, yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you for asking. I was like, no, thank you for accepting. This is incredible.
Yes.
So the point of me bringing that up is that photo is like 3 feet. I have that particular photo in part of Gilman that's 3 feet by 5 feet. And it's all like stapled up on the wall.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And then I was like, I don't know if you've ever been to Gilman, but they have a thing there. It's called the store, and they sell snacks and drinks or whatever. Yeah. And then it was in the wall in the store. And then a month or two passed, and I was like, I think it needs another photo. So I have this crazy photo of the singer, that band Gag, next to the photo that we're discussing, also 3 feet by 5 feet. So the whole wall in the store, one of the walls is two of my photos. And every time I walk in there, I'm like, I can't believe I have photos up at Gilman like this.
I made it. This is what life is all about.
Yes.
I knew it.
Exactly. I have peaked. I have peaked right now.
That's incredible. Well, the thing that I really love about this, and it's what I just love about being in the pit, you see everybody that's coming through the show, and you just get surprised by people, like the individuality, the energy, the emotion, and the excitement that you see from these people. And they might only make one or two laps, but you look at them and then you just think like, I don't know, at least for me, like I just think about like, wow, like I think about their life, where they're going, everything that led them to this moment to be here right now, and everything they had to do this. And I think this person just really encapsulates that individuality that I love about people moshing more than any photo of yours. There's just something about it. They're just like really just popping off the photo, and I don't know. There's just something really magnetic about them.
Thank you. Yeah. It's funny you brought that up about the one or two circle people, because I was posted some photos I took at Gilman, actually, I don't know, a couple months ago. And I got this really great photo of like an older guy, and I don't know who he was, right? I posted it. I thought it was a cool photo. And he found it. So maybe somebody forwarded it to him or something. And he commented, he's like, I don't know how you got that photo. He's like, I haven't slam danced in years. And he's like, I did like 2 laps in the pit, and I like got out.
But like when you see somebody like that, like they have one lap, I have to get this,
Yeah.
and then they're gone, and that's it. And if you don't get it right there, they're not coming back, and you're gonna miss it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just like you don't know if this person's going to be here all night or what, but they have cool style. You're like, oh my god, like I got it right. So I thought that was really fun. He seemed excited by it. But like, it was like, how in the world did you get that fucking?
How did you get this?
Yeah. I'm like, I guess you shouldn't look so cool, right?
All right. So this next one, this photo is incredible, but we kind of touched on it earlier, but it's just like your whole approach to jump shots and capturing just like that peak moment of these, and the way that you're able to fill the frame with somebody jumping. Like it feels like they're jumping too. They're at the top of the frame. You're not always like centering them, and it kind of reminds me like Murray Bowles. You talk about him a lot.
Yeah.
Right. That's how you say his name?
Murray Bowles.
So
yeah.
There's that shot from the GBH show that was in the If Life's a Bowl of Cherries, What Am I Doing in the Pit?
Yeah.
And Hail Murray, where it's like a guy coming in from the top of the frame, but he's taking a picture of the band. So it's like just the crowd at the bottom. And I think I looked at that photo maybe like 2 or 3 times before I even realized the person coming into the frame from the top. So like I kind of get a lot of like that same energy from your jump shots that I get from that, where it's like the person actually feels like they're jumping in the frame, like because they're up top, and like you're filling it with other stuff, and in this case it's grounded with the guitar player below them. So I'm just like kind of curious of like, how did you just come to have such like control over such an uncontrollable moment?
Without going any further, I just want to say 2 things very briefly. Number one, that GBH shot to this day is my favorite punk photo ever taken. I think
that's an incredible photo.
The absolute peak of punk photography. Number 2, and I've talked about it in many other interviews and what have you, Murray Bowles is my number 1 influence. Rest in power, Murray. Yeah. My photography wouldn't be what it is without his influence pouring in. Okay, so regarding that photo, in a more general term, I think we haven't really talked about camera gear or anything, but it's worth mentioning. I shoot 90+% of my photos with the 14 by 24 millimeter, almost always wide open at 14 millimeter. And I have a full frame camera. The point of me bringing up this, and I'm sure you're well aware about what I'm about to say, but maybe people that don't know, it gives me a lot of real estate. So when I photograph something like this jump photo, like I'm so close to them, and but I'm still capturing everything. And then the other factor that's really important is, I don't remember the shot, but I can almost 100% guarantee you I did rapid fire. I probably shot like 8 shots in a row or something, like when he jumped. So, and I just got really some luck in like getting the peak of his jump. So there was a couple things going on. It's a camera gear that I'm using. I'm speaking in more general terms. And then rapid fire, and then just he's a super active performer. You probably know, but the band is Fentanyl, who are still performing now, and so I just kind of have this thought of like where I wanted to be. I didn't know he was going to jump like that, right? But I was like, okay, I'm here. I usually try to center myself, and he was jumping around a lot, so I find, I don't know if you do anything like this, you probably do, but like, because I'm not looking through my viewfinder, I can hold the camera a lot lower and angle up a little bit. And so not only do I have all this real estate and a rapid fire, really great autofocus camera, but now I'm at an angle which not only has a great chance of capturing the action, but anyone that jumps near me, it gives it this much bigger. It gives a lot more levity to like what is happening in front of your camera.
Because you're actually shooting up
Yeah.
at it, so you're not shooting it flat. You have your camera down on the ground, so any air that they get
Yeah.
is going to automatically feel like a lot more like he's actually jumping over this guy.
It's funny because I think sometimes because I use such a wide angle, it gives some distortion. Sometimes there's almost too much distortion, and I have to throw those photos away. It makes someone's arm look like 8 feet long or some weird thing, and I'm just like, I can't use that photo. But a lot of times it gives so I'm doing a low angle, wide angle, long angle shot on a wide angle lens, and doing rapid fire, and then it just gives this whole massive like feeling to the jump. It's fun for me though, because sometimes I know that some of the photos I get, I'm like, he wasn't jumping, not necessarily this one, but I'm like, he was not jumping that high. But because there might be a stage in front of me. So maybe this was obviously, I was pretty, the stage was very low, but if you are like chest up on stage and then some guy in front of you jumps really high and you're using this same shooting process or presentation that I'm talking about, low and wide angle, they're going to look like they're like 8 feet off the stage, and gives this really incredible presence. With one of my absolute favorite shots to get, and it's actually pretty difficult because you have to be at the right place in the right time and just get it, is when I can get my camera like almost under someone jumping. So not only are they really high, but it actually looks like somehow I'm laying underneath them, even though I've never done that. And I'm almost have the camera tilted so hard that it's facing straight up with just enough of an angle to make sure I capture the subject. Those are some of my absolute favorite shots. Because when you look at it, you're like, what? How? Like, did he have a portal in the stage? Like, what? How did he get that?
I just imagine you laying flat on your back on the stage and people are just jumping over you.
I honestly, I have never done it, but sometimes if it's a band I'm really familiar with, I almost want to be like, if I lay on the stage, if like I give you a cue and lay on the stage, will you jump over the top of me? I've never asked, but it has crossed my mind numerous times.
Think of everything else that you've asked for, and people would be like, "Yeah, you know what? That's fine." Like the enzyme thing, the photos at the venue. Like, I don't know, maybe you should just go for it.
I know off the top of my head. I know one guy in particular. I know he would do it in a heartbeat. We're good friends. He's an amazing jumping performer, kangaroo level. I just have to ask him. I just haven't. So I think they're playing again this year. I hear most of the band lives here, but he lives elsewhere. I might ask. Maybe let's do like.
I hope to see that in the future. Like, please let me know. Like, hey, I did it today.
All right. I'm gonna lay on the. What do you think about me laying on the stage during this song? I'll be like give him a cue. Like I'm like, all right, this song this time.
Or it could be like, hey, wouldn't it be crazy if I like laid on the stage and like took a picture or something? Just like say it all joking, like, oh yeah, it's actually a good idea.
Well, it's funny because I photographed the members of those bands, and not only that band but many other bands many times. We're good friends, and they've made jokes. They're like, it's such a relief when we don't see you at our shows because then we know we don't have to perform for your camera. Like,
So they're like, oh, Rob's here. Damn. Well, got to stretch.
yeah. Well, man, we got to jump higher than I used here with this stupid camera. So anyway, yeah, I think it's a combination of all those things to really kind of capture that moment. But that we're talking about. And honestly, I mean, it does take some skill. You gotta have timing and feel the moment and stuff, but there's still an element of luck. And I miss a lot. I miss a lot of these shots. Maybe I got my camera too far to the left or whatever, but I do my best.
There's a certain level of going for it that you just need to have to get these shots, it sounds like.
I don't use this term very often, but I do incorporate it into my work. I call it this spray and pray. You're just like, all right, maybe I got it. I don't know.
Hope I got that. We'll know in the morning.
Yeah.
And then this last one, it's a color photo, but I'll let you talk about it first and I'll tell you why I like it.
Well, first, the thing that I think kind of trips everyone out is it was luck. I didn't try at all because I never really even thought about trying to present a photo. It looks like he's on one leg. It looks like his trailing leg is almost perfectly hidden behind his front leg. And if you look closely, you can see a smidge of his toes of his back foot sticking out. When you look at it, you're like, what is he? Is this the one-legged wonder? Like, what is happening here? And once again, it is the absolute perfect slam dancing position. Like, he's low. He's got the arm out, is like this full DRI, circle jerks guy.
The hair kicking off to the side.
Much different reason. We were talking about how much I love youth at shows. He's not a particularly young person, and he's just killing it in the pit. And I think that's really cool because I try very hard with my photos. I don't know if I even use the word try. I just said presentation and something that means a lot to me. It's not like I really look to showcase everyone, like all walks of life that come to the show. Different age, like massive differences in age groups, different body types, different races, different genders, different sexualities, just because I want, not only are those things essential and important to me as a person and going to shows and just society in general. I wish we were more loving and accepting of all of us. But it's especially important to me in the punk scene because I've been a part of it for so long. And in general, I want to believe it's an essential part. So when I see a photo of someone slam dancing really cool, but then something kind of sets them apart a little differently, be whatever reason it is, that makes that photo a little more exciting for me. And it's like, oh, rad, it kind of broadens my representation. Because, like I said, I don't know the people that I'm posting, nor do I know the people, like, well, I know some, but like most of the people I don't know who are following me either. So, and people are looking at your photos from all over the world, yours and mine alike. So I want people to look at those photos and see that there is this massive cross-generation, cross whatever presentation being shown in these photos and feel like it's not just this cookie cutter mold of a certain type of look, right? And I want not only people to say, oh, they have a really cool scene, but on the flip side of that, a lot of people are outcasts for a variety of reasons. Maybe how big they are, how old they are, how young they are, like whatever. And I want him to look at those photos and go, there's someone like me. This I'm identifying with this in a different way than maybe majority of people are. And I think that's really important. A great example is I posted a picture of someone in a pit with a cane, right? And they look so rad. They were like in a slam dancing position and everything. And I was like, and I had a couple people comment on the post and then message me directly, like going, "Hey, I have a handicap. I never thought this would be possible for me to get into a pit. That was really scary.
That's so great.
It's really inspiring to me." And I was like, that means the world to me. You know, my photos somehow, maybe just a smidge, made someone's life a little more open or freer or better, or feel a little better about themselves and still a little more confidence in who they are. God, can you imagine? Like, isn't that's the bonus, right? Like, it's never my intent. I mean, well, it is. It's subtly way back in the background, but I'm just posting photos of cool people. And then if it has all this kind of like ripple effects on people, like, there's no greater compliment, really.
That kind of speaks to what you were saying earlier about making the scene a more inclusive place. Like, you single-handedly are doing that with the photos that you're choosing to share. Because you show photos like that, it looks rad. People are like, I want to be there, and I can be there. Like, it had never crossed my mind that somebody like me could exist in a space like this. So I'm going to go check it out next time because of these people that I'm seeing there having a super rad time.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked there, but all these things I feel like are so important to me about my photography.
That was great.
But yeah, the photo itself, I like that the guy's a little older, and I love his classic position, and I like the oddity of his, like, the one-legged mystery oddity of that. And I know you can't tell from the photo, but in my brain, that makes it even more exciting. It's a really cool place that's having shows recently. It's actually in a batting cage in San Francisco, and they're having a great show tomorrow night, which I'm going to. I'm super excited about. So
I was wondering what kind of flooring that was. It looked super interesting.
yeah, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's bouncy, but it has a little bit of a sponge and give to it. It's really cool. I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah, they're having a great show there, and I like it because it's in a really populated part of the city, like an up and coming area, but the doorway leads out into like an alley where cars never drive down. I like it because everyone can hang out outside, and it's not really drawing the attention of like passerbys or cops or anything like that. So it's such a cool place.
It's one of the few times you can just hang out in an alley and it's not sketchy.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the photo? I'm curious.
So you kind of hit at everything that I was gonna say. Like, I love that his leg is disappearing. Like, you get that second read, like you just see like a guy moshing. Oh, cool. And then you look at it a little more. It looks like his leg has disappeared, and then there's a bunch of feet behind him. I love that, and that leads me to my next point about this. Is like, I love your backgrounds, and I feel like your backgrounds are just as important as the subject because it helps give them more context. Like the guy with the probably has like a bihawk with just like the one peeking out from the corner, and he looks absolutely insane. There's a bottle of water between somebody's legs, and then the guy with the big earmuffs peeking out from the side. Like, it very much feels like a show where it's just people kind of spattered all together, and it's not like perfectly framed or like with like backgrounds removed or like no people or whatever. It's like, this is what a show feels like, and I love that you treat the background just as importantly as the subject.
Yeah, when I'm editing my photos, I mean, this one's different because it was already kind of bright in there anyway, but a lot of times I'll, like, if you go back and look at like maybe the most recent post I did of all the stage drivers and the slam dancers, like, I make an effort when I'm doing my photos to enhance the crowd around a lot, because for all the reasons that you're giving, there's so much happening, especially in stage drive scenes or whatever, because those are intense. Somebody is jumping on top of you. It's like, exciting, happy, terrifying, like all these things are happening. And, and if you crop it down or leave the crowd dark in the surrounding environment, like I feel like so much is lost.
Yeah, they're just floating in space.
Yeah. So I really try to brighten the background. And I think I'm not like a master editor or anything. I think it's just a thing that I try to do when I'm editing my photos. And I think it, other photographers often will comment to me or message me privately and go like, how do you get so much background in your photos? Well, one, I'm very fortunate and lucky. I have a good camera with a good lens, so that's very helpful, right? But I always point out that I'm like, I've heavily enhanced, and by enhanced, all I mean is brightened. That's all I'm doing. I've heavily brightened the crowd to give as you're saying, the picture more depth and emotion, and people are reading into it and going, "Oh my God, look, there's me," or like, I was under like somebody like that yesterday at my show, like, or whatever. Like, they're identifying it in a different way. So, and it's exciting for me because a lot of times people aren't necessarily the focus of the photo, but they're stoked that they're in a photo, right?
They're in it.
Like, oh my God, look, there I am. So
they're a part of the scene. Like it's the literal scene that you're showing.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that out. It's a thing that I actually try to enhance and bring out in my photos.
But it feels like really effortless the way that you do it. Like it's just like the way this background looks. It doesn't feel intentional, but it is completely 100% intentional, especially like the little sliver of the guy's pants on the left side, the guy with the earmuffs. It's like it's those little things that just break the frame to keep it interesting.
There will be oftentimes, and I'm sure you do the same thing, you'll have your photo cropped, and then you'll be like, wait, what is happening back here? And you'll draw it out just a little, and then you're like, oh, I got to keep that person in the frame.
Or it's just like a hand with a beer or something, just like breaking the edge, or like just something to add a little bit more pizzazz to it.
Yeah, my favorite, I've been talking a lot about my favorite photos to capture. Probably another one that is nearly impossible to get. And it's just like, you got to be there at the right time. Not everyone does this move, but like if someone does something on the floor or like a back bend, like in front of you, and they're like looking up with a microphone or whatever, if I can nail that shot facing down, but then have all of the legs of the people watching, or the like kind of giving this like shape around the person, the subject, is one of my absolute favorite photos to get, because it just looks so cool, because it draws so much attention to the subject, but then that they are being surrounded, and it kind of gives us like weight to the photo. I don't know how to describe it. I think you understand what I'm trying to say though.
Yeah, I know the one that you're talking about that you shared recently, where it's like somebody in the ground and like surrounded by a bunch of people, and it almost feels staged, like how perfect it is. But it's just, you're just so wrapped up in that moment, and just like things like that happen, and like you probably weren't even thinking like, oh my God, it's happening. You took a picture, took a couple, and then just like split.
I don't have time ever to think about. Other than trying to get myself in the right place and right time, I don't have time to think about framing or anything. I will say that, I know it enough now. I've been photographing long enough that if somebody does something, I know like, okay, I need to kind of hold my camera over here. But I don't have time to think about, oh, this is in the background, or these people are here, or like whatever. I'm just like shooting away.
Moment is happening, capture it, make sense of it, make sense of it later.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for somebody who's like just starting to get into photographing their scene, or like a subculture that they're interested in?
I just try to tell people, I'm like, I know taking photos is important, and and you're being familiar with your gear and getting the shot and everything. I'm like, but don't focus on your camera so much that you're losing your interest in the show or the moment that's happening in front of you. Because if you're losing that, you're kind of losing the whole purpose of you trying to capture the moments on your camera. Because I watch, it happens a lot with younger people that are newer photography, and like, I think it's really important to let people grow and develop on their own. And I would never, ever offer advice unless asked first. That doesn't mean I'm not judging or thinking other thoughts. And I know I probably do a lot of things that people go, why the hell is that guy doing that? And he's really screwing that up, which is fine. That's part of, like, we all have our own methodology, right? But I'm constantly learning. It's like I watch people, especially with younger people, they'll have like all this stuff's happening right in front of them. They'll get a shot and then they'll look, and then they're doing this and like looking at, and I'm like, I just want to go, what are you doing? Like everything, like there's 45 seconds left in this song. Like you could get a way better shot if you were just looking up. Look at your if it's really important or you're still uncomfortable or unfamiliar with your camera gear or whatever reason you're looking, wait till the end of the song. Take a second, a breather, look, and then re-engage and then go. But like that's one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is picture, look, picture, look, picture, look.
Because you're leaving the moment to do. Every time you do that, you're checking out of what's happening in front of you.
People often ask me what kind of camera would you recommend? And I'm like, yeah, it's a hard question to answer because I don't know anyone's budget or what they're going to be into it for a week and then quit. And I said, if you really want to pursue this, first of all, think, do you want digital or film? And then secondly, try to buy the best camera body that you can afford. And if possible, I know it's more expensive, but I kind of have to read the room, right? I always ask, well, give me about of your budget. So I'm kind of generalizing here, but I try to gear people towards full frame cameras. But I realize, well, if you're talking to like a 15-year-old kid that lives with his parents and has like a couple $100, I realize once again, I'm reading the room, but there's certain ways I'll direct the conversation. But I will say things like buy the best camera body you have, concentrate on used lenses, lens hold their value, so on and so forth, and a lot of things like that. And I said, just remember to have fun at shows. Try to enjoy the band playing in front of you. Try not to concentrate on your camera too much. And most importantly, respect the audience members around you. And there's certain ways I'm framing this, but for the sake of conversation here, I'm just being more direct. Don't feel entitled. Don't show up at a show 3 seconds before the band goes on. And I don't say these things to people, right? But or I do, I frame it a certain way, so make sure that's very clear. But for the sake of conversation, don't show up at the show for 3 seconds before the band goes on and go, hey, can I get in front of you? I need to get some pictures of this band or whatever. Like, just assimilate yourself into the crowd, get the photos that you want, and don't ever feel like you're entitled because you have the camera in your hand, because that's just not going to go over very well, and it's going to push people away from you, and they're not going to want you in their way or part of the moment, or this just kind of creates this division. So those are really important things, I think. Do I say those things always? No, usually most of the conversations I have with people are very basic. Like, what camera do you use? What one piece of advice do you have for a new photographer? That type of stuff. But there are certain things that I think are so essential to new photographers that kind of get lost or never said, and then you have to kind of learn it on your own.
Beyond the gear, you need to learn to navigate those spaces. And I think you nailed it when you said, like, just because you have a camera in these spaces doesn't make you any more special than anybody there. You're on an equal level as everybody else in that room, and you just happen to have a camera.
It's always weird to me when someone says to me, maybe a non-photographer, I'll say, man, I got blasted last night, meaning like I got hammered by somebody. And then somebody will go, man, they should show you more respect. You have a camera. And I'm like, no, I'm in the moment. I'm standing next to everyone. Like, I don't expect any sympathy or special treatment at all. Like, I have chosen to be here, And I would be here anyway if I didn't have a camera. So like I would still get blasted. But you know, it's an interesting thing to navigate with people who maybe aren't familiar. Yeah, I never have feel entitled or if I see a show I really want to shoot, I know it'll be crowded. I will get there and I will stand in the same place for like 3 hours, like, and never move because I want to get my photos, right? Those things are important to me, but that's me, and that's not for everyone. So when then suddenly someone like pushing their way up in front with the camera, I'm like,
Excuse me, got a camera. Here to take pictures. Like you, that's what I love about you. Like you stand there and you earn your space up front. And Sam is the exact same way. Like when there's like it's about to get crowded, she stands there and I'll go get her like a bottle of water or whatever she needs. You know, like we have the buddy system figured out. Like we don't want like preferential treatment or anything. Like we're there just like everybody else to enjoy the show. We just happen to be taking pictures.
once again, I probably wouldn't say all those things to a photographer unless we had a really in-depth conversation. But at the basic root, and get the best camera body you can have. The lenses can come secondary, and be nice to the people around you. Really enjoy the show. Don't focus on your camera too much, and don't ever feel like you have special privilege because you have a camera.
That's perfect. That's so good. Is there anything else that you want to share? I feel like we kind of covered everything. But if there's anything else that you think is, worth sharing or you just want to get out there, like, feel free to let it rip.
Not really. I appreciate you taking the time and interest. I know I warned you we would probably go way over.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we did. I was just being nice. Like, maybe could I get an hour with you? Because when I sent you that DM, I was not expecting you to get back to me at all. So, like I said, I'm so grateful that we got to hang out and chat a little bit and get in depth about taking pictures in the pit and just photography in general.
Yeah, well, honestly, I'll be honest with you. Like Sam, right? Sam has been on my radar for a while, and then I don't know. I came across your photography a little while ago, and I think it was some of your pit photos or something, and I was like, whoa, because I already knew Sam, the real deal, right? You can just immediately look at Sam's photos and be like, okay,
Yeah, she's got it.
she's down. She knows what's happening. And then I saw your pit photos, and I was like, like, whoa, these are amazing. And then I kind of realized that I'm assuming you're partnered together. So like, I was like, wow, what power power duo here, right? And your photos kind of blew me away.
Thank you so much.
And when you reached out, I was like, ooh, I could already tell you both kind of got it, right? So I was like, oh, I think this would be a very entertaining conversation on a very similar level of like not only how we present, but how we see shows and everything happening around us at shows. So it's been a wonderful chat, if you will.
Yeah.
Interview. I don't know. I feel like more of a conversation than an interview.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the vibe I'm going for with this, where you just hang out and talk about things you're passionate about: punk rock, photography, camera gear, the ethics of being at a show. I think these are all really important things to cover that you might not necessarily think about when you just see pictures of people slam dancing. Like there is that like surface level, this is awesome, but then you get into like the real nuts and bolts of it. Like, why is this awesome? How is this awesome? And that's something I was really looking forward to talking to you about, because you spend a lot of time in a mosh pit. I spend a lot of time in a mosh pit, and it's good to connect over our shared experiences of documenting our subcultures. Punk and metal have always coexisted, and I think it's really important that that bridge stays open between the two genres.
It's been interesting over the years, and I still do it, but all through my youth and all the way up until now. And I'm guessing you're probably very similar. Not only do I go to punk and metal shows, but I go to all types of punk and all types of metal shows. And I think it's, in some respects, is kind of a rarity, not only for photographers, but for music fans in general. Like, you go to, like, I don't know, like a hardcore show, there's certain type of fans there. You go to a crust punk show, you go to a pop punk show, like they all have these subgenres, and then you find particular people at each one. But I cross the whole spectrum, really, for almost all types of heavy music. So it's been fun for me to take my camera to all these different scenes and kind of document them in their own respective way. Um, but I kind of actually, oh shoot, what was I going to talk about? There was one more thing I wanted to bring up. Oh, you asked me if I wanted to mention one other thing, and I think one important element of my photography that we haven't talked about at all, and I actually don't talk about it very much, um, is that, so I mentioned earlier, I'd worked for Maximum for 30 years, doing reviews and a music column and a radio show. And I've done other radio shows. I've worked for other zines. I do a photography thing now for Razor Cake, so on and so forth. I worked in a punk record store for years. Worked for a punk distributor. And the whole point of me telling you all of this is throughout that all that time, I always felt one of the most important aspects was hyping bands that I love, whether it be writing a review, playing them on the radio show, or working in the record store and someone walks in and goes, "Do you have any recommendations?" I'll be like, "Oh yeah," run over me. So the importance of that is that, like, my whole life, I've been, for lack of a better term, and I've kind of started calling myself this, is a hype man for bands that excite me. And so I don't do reviews or radio show anymore, but I do have photography. And if someone tells me that they started listening to a band or checked out a band because of a photo that I took of that band, I'm so 100% serious. I'm like, that is the absolute best compliment. I'm like, my goal is to hype everyone. So, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example of, like, for like a while, I've been really hyped on, say, Spy, or let's say Dry Socket, right? Dry Socket. I love that band. Amazing live. And so, like, sure, they're really photogenic, but when I photograph a band like that, way in the back of my mind, I'm like, I hope that someone sees this crazy photo that I got of the singer or whatever and goes, "Man, I better check this band out.
I need to check them out. This looks rad."
Yeah, and that, in a weird way, is like an extension of all the other stuff I've done for the last multiple decades of my life of hyping bands to people that I know or don't know. So I think that's a really important element of my photography that's really important to me. And I feel like sometimes it's obvious in the way I kind of like hype bands and, like, I'm like, "Oh, it was so great." Like, whatever.
You're hyping them in your own way now. Like, you might not have that column or the reviews anymore, but like you said, you have your photography and that's your way of sharing that. Like, you don't need to say anything. You just show them, like, this is awesome. You should check it out.
With that said, one of my favorite ways to photograph a band, I love capturing a band that looks way different than they sound. So, like, an example would be, maybe it's a pop punk band, but they all look a little more like hardcore, and they're all jumping and doing the, like, Youth of Today, like, moves and everything. And then occasionally someone, generally people I know, will be like, "Hey man, I checked out that band, you posted a picture of it." They're like, "I didn't really think it was that great, or it didn't sound anything like."
Was not expecting that.
Yeah, or whatever, whatever thing they have with that band. And I'm like, that actually makes me very happy. I'm like, okay, maybe you don't like it, but those photos caught your eye. Maybe you should go see them live. Maybe you'll have a different opinion, right? So
you still got a response out of it. They still checked it out. And I think that's successful right there.
So anyways, I do want to throw that in because that's something I don't really talk about very often, but it's really important to me to, like, hype bands that I absolutely love and turn other people onto bands they've never heard before.
You're doing such a positive thing out there. And, I just want to say, like, thank you for all the inspiration. Thank you for everything that you do. Thanks for risking your body, your camera, everything to get the shot and be there. You're making, the punk rock world a more beautiful place, a more inclusive place, and a place that I think people will want to check out just through the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And both of your work is super inspiring and rad to me. And I can't tell you how jealous I am. I don't know if you're going, but I know. Are you going to Fire in the Mountains too?
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, we'll be there. It's gonna be so incredible, and yeah, we got photo passes this year. Last year we went. Sam had a photo pass, and I snuck my camera in to do my pictures or whatever. But yeah, this year like we got like actual photo passes, and we're gonna go do it again. And that was such an incredible experience. That was one of the times I cried. Actually, I'll admit it.
I'm sure I'd be bawling my head.
It's so overwhelming. Then like people on stage crying. It's a beautiful thing. And if you ever do have the opportunity to go, like I cannot recommend it enough.
Neurosis is probably one of the, if not the most important bands to me in my life. I've seen them between 30 and 40 times over the years. And it is heart-wrenching that I can't go to this show. I just have too much going on. I can't afford it. I'm traveling in August. I'm already traveling in July. Like, it's just not humanly possible for me. So I'm so excited because I don't think, Sam said that she had never seen them. I'm assuming maybe you haven't either.
I haven't seen them either, no. But Through Silver and Blood had a really big impact on me.
Go ahead and finish your thought, but I just got the 10% notice, and I don't have any way to plug in my device.
We'll wrap it up then. Dude, thank you so much again. Like I could be here all night giving you compliments, but seriously, thank you so much, and like I really appreciate your time and everything. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. This has been amazing. Definitely one of my, if not favorite, interviews I've done. So it's been really cool.
Cool. That's fucking rad, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I hope we talk again in the future. And if I'm ever in San Francisco, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, hopefully maybe we'll meet someday in the future.
Cool. And I'll send you a video from Neurosis. It'll be like you're there with us.
Oh my God. I might cry. But please do.
I will. I'll send you a video of me crying like, yeah, they're doing it. They're playing Locust Star.
You were here.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, man.
All right, man.
Well, I'll catch you later.
All right, cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.